I bought a car a few years ago for 4.2 million. And of course, before I did that, I looked at the documents, that surrounded the car in what we call in law market overt. Market overt is that if you are buying something in the regular place people normally buy, you are supposed to be safe enough. You can be seen as an innocent buyer. It's not a situation where I go to my backyard and tell you, Chamberlain, I need to sell this car to you at probably a value that is even suspicious. But the market overt is where people normally buy cars. One of such places may well be Bega in Lagos, a bigger car shop or whatever. Most Nigerians go to buy cars in such places and other car shops. Of course, this car I asked my daughter to take it to the east, for a purpose, and he was arrested somewhere in the Djibouti. And of course, he kept calling me, and I said, "What's the problem?" He said that they said that that the papers that he had were not genuine or something. Meanwhile, I know that I even personally inspected this car, and he had this Lagos sticker, showing that it was properly cleared from a Papa Wharf and all of that. All the papers were genuine, as far as I was concerned, with normal tellers paid to the bank, a Nigerian bank, and all the stamps, that you require. And of course, we paid and collected the car. But the car was seized. That also brings me to, assuming, for instance, the custom controller is allowed to go with this policy, disposal of such impounded vehicles. It was seized. And when it was seized, I eventually sued the custom. So of course, I sued the custom and joined the car shop, the car dealer that I bought the car from, because I was so embarrassed and totally, frustrated. And I was so vigilant that I was always monitoring that vehicle because it was seized and put in what they call the Federal Operations Unit, somewhere, in Ikeja here. Until one day somebody now told me that he looks like somebody is walking around that car and all of it. While the matter was pending in court, and of course, I tried to find out what was happening. The car had been sold.
What?
To one Malam Ayuba. I can tell you this.
While the case
was on,
your car was sold.
The typical government agency.
Did you serve them any notice?
Simply ignored the pendency of the matter.
I suppose that your car was then impounded.
Oh, sure, it was impounded and seized. Well, that would take us to the visitor of corruption that impounded cars are going to open up, because if they seize these cars, there are quite a number of people who will not be able to, pay the necessary.
Are you saying that if we go ahead with this policy, cars will be impounded and then will be sold?
You had the Custom General talking about aggressive. When it is aggressive, they impound your car. And they impound your car, it will be seized.
One more thing before we go. I mean, this part, I hear a lot of people also asking, the targets that customs are usually given, is it part of the laws?
Well, it's administrative. It's administrative. But Chamberlain, let me just
conclude on that, and then we'll wrap it up.
Conclude on this. You see, eventually the car was seized, and then I sued custom and the car dealer. To fast track what we are doing, his name is Malam Ayuba of Waterboard Road, Ibauchi. The car that I bought for 4.2 million was sold to him at 60,000. You can see this, 60,000. As a matter of fact, he was clutching so many of such things. I had to buy the car again from this person. Because they have forced the fait accompli on the court. The rest had been destroyed. There was no other thing that the court was going to decide because the car had been sold. I had to buy my own car from Malam Ayuba, this car was sold to for 60,000, and he had a lot of such cars and there were a number of traders clustering around him that he was going to sell these impounded vehicles back to. Have you seen that chain of corruption? This is where we are heading to.